Introducing Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, the only national USDA certified organic hard seltzer. We're not playing around. New Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, as real as it tastes.
Welcome to the After Party Podcast for the, 5th day of February 2021. It's Friday morning. Chad Greenway's been nice enough to stick around. And so we are live, not only on the, I guess only on the internet, because we're not live on the, why does it say Tits Titterson right there?
Genius.
Anyway, so Chad's here, and we have a million things to talk to him about. But if you have a question as well, and we have, take the time to look up at the screen, we'll do an Ask Me Anything with Chad as well.
And again, we learned this last week. If Chris is just blindly staring into the camera, it's not because he's staring at you. He's reading the comments.
Yeah.
Last week, they didn't understand why Chris was just standing
but
and
there's
staring.
at least one person that went Randy Marsh on it. Zip.
How many deadbeat dad comments are there on there already?
Not any yet, but there will be. There's sexy eyes. Thanks.
That's brilliant.
Go on.
This is
Let's go.
Randy's
my
face
backyard
when he
right there.
found the internet again.
Yeah, that's funny.
And true story, right before we hit play, Chad was trying to get us all to quit our jobs.
100%.
And he had me convinced.
I thought we could talk about this. Wait a second. We are
Chris
live now?
Sauce was in.
Yeah.
Chris was
My
mostly
car's
in. I was on
idling
the
right now.
fence. Chad almost had me convinced as well. So way to go, Chad.
Don't have me back next week. You guys might be on the street.
Yeah, you may actually take over the show.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Chad, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Question number one. What's been the thing you've missed the most about football outside of just the guys in the locker room?
Yeah, that's the obvious answer,
Yeah,
right?
I
Is
know,
that
yeah.
but along with that is those bus rides, those flights.
Yeah.
You know what I just did? Actually, kind of segue of a story is we used to play Mario Kart on DS all the time when I was like early 2010s, right? Ben Lieber, the whole crew, we'd all go DS, link up, and just race. I'm like, I miss that. So I bought 3 for me and my oldest 2 kids so we could get a piece of that back, right? Of because it's like the heckling, the rubbing, just finding the cheat codes and finding the different paths through the land or the roads, and it's like you miss that.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like that feeling of running onto the field. And I'll take this back to my first time I ran on the field at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. I was a redshirt. I was not going to do anything that day except drink water. And I've never felt that feeling before that moment. And I realized my last time I ran out against the Bears in 17, 16, whatever it was, I'll never have that again because you can't replicate. And you can't, even if you're on the field for a game or you're part of the game in some way, it's not the same when they're there to watch you, right? And it's just that feeling of you're in that arena, you're in that stadium, it's all eyes on you, the pressure of this TV, the pressure of performing. You live for that.
Yeah.
And you becomes who you are. And I think that's, when guys struggle to get out, that's the part where you can't replace it. You can't replace being the guy in the arena that people came to watch.
Talk about your love or hate of fame, because you're not a guy that's gone away. Of course, you didn't just retire and disappear. You're still out there. You're doing things like this. You're on TV. You got obviously the vodka company. So your face is still out there.
Yep.
But as a former player, it's got to be a little bit different than being a player. When you were a pro player, not even at Iowa, just how did you handle the idea of fame?
Yeah, I embraced it, and I think I always came across as being a South Dakota kid, Iowa, upper Midwest, almost like that all shucks, I'm just normal. I'm average. I'm as normal as can be, and I get to do this super cool job and play the game I love. And I think that resonated with people, and they felt good about having a conversation with me and always trying to be, when I'm talking to somebody, actually listen to what they're saying, right? If I'm at a signing or I'm doing something, actually care about what they're saying, remember what their name is, remember where they're from. Oh, you're from White Bear. Oh, there's some connection, right? They're great at hockey, or they're this, or their logo, the team name, things like that to connect with people. So I kind of embraced it that way. There's always times, though, when you're going through the process of the super negative fans, right, would kill it. Knowing that I put everything into everything I was doing, I played every week, playing through injuries, and still take on the negativity of a loss or playing bad or missing a tackle, the little stuff. If they only knew what it took to get there,
sure.
If they only knew what it took to stay there, and then if they only knew what it took to grind through a 17-game season after training camp and pick yourself off the field and broken ribs, broken hands, and keep playing because you love it and you want to do it for the fans and you want to win.
Did you ever
That
get
was
in person?
frustrating.
I mean, obviously on social media and stuff, that stuff exists. How often did you have somebody to your face get negative?
Not
about
a lot.
The way
I
you
mean,
played?
obviously I was a lot bigger then, but we're relatively scary people too. So it's like anything is you don't nobody's gonna say it to your face because they're too scared. But as soon as Twitter came around and all social media, back then it was message boards, right? It was like the online message boards, or and it was you're like, really, like that's what people think. Like if they walked into my house and watched me raising my kids, right, and watched me be a dad or a husband, they'd be like, wow, this is actually a really good dude. Like, yeah, he missed that tackle, but I guess that really doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
I think for me, the one key factor was met my wife when we were freshmen in college. We went through everything together. Got married right after college. Come in the league married. Had our first kid right away. It just grounded me to the point where like I know where my priorities are. I'm not going to get into all the BS, the going out, the craziness. Like I didn't want that life, and she was very good about like, yeah, that sucked, tough loss, but hey, this is what matters. Drive the kids to school. Get your butt up and get the kids ready for school or whatever that is. That normal life. I think that really helped me kind of just stay straightened out.
When during your life, because you've talked a lot about how you played 9-man football, when did you realize that you were like, holy shit, I could probably play pro football?
Honestly, it wasn't until like my junior year of college, because when I came out of high school, like I grew up in a nowhere town, right, Mount South Dakota, 400 people. Like I graduated with 26 kids in my class. Nobody was getting recruited out of there, right? And quite honestly, Ben Lieber, one of my best friends and guy you guys know really well, he was 4 years older than me. He gave me the idea like I can go play high level college ball. Like I was doing things in high school, like I was doing things that hadn't been done before from that area. So as soon as Iowa made me an offer, that was my only offer I got. I went there, and once I got on campus, and I was a nobody recruit, 2-star recruit, if they even had that back then. And there's these other 4- and 5-star recruits coming from Chicago and Michigan and Florida, and I'm like, I'm just as good as these guys. Like, and I knew I was going to outwork them. I knew I was going to be able to show up every day and be the same guy. So I would say, like, honestly, like probably my sophomore year of college, I had my first official start. Actually started against Ben Roethlisberger in Miami of Ohio.
Wow. My
first start. And I realized that, like, not only can I play, but I can play really well. And I offered some stuff that other guys couldn't do. And I think when you think about playing pro ball, like, and separating yourself from the college athletes is like, I can do things that they can't, right? I'm 240 pounds and I can cover this receiver in the slot or whatever that is. That translates. And I think that's when people started to talk about it and became real. But the best thing about Iowa was like, it was tunnel vision. It was like, we were there to play football, to go to school, you know, had my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, and we were just locked into like our focus. Like we had fun and we went out and partied and did normal college stuff, but there wasn't this talking about the NFL even. It was just like one day at a time. And then you look up, you're like, oh shit, I just got drafted in the first round. Like this is awesome, right? It worked out.
How much has starting your own company helped you overcome the doldrums of being a former professional football player?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
We remember right before Christmas when you and I had that talk, and I looked like I was about to jump out the window.
Yep.
And I realized at that moment that you were going through a similar thing, or at least you had.
Yep. Purpose, you know, right, is everybody needs to get up regardless of if you're retired or if you've been successful. Like, you have to have something to, like, want to get up and go do. And for me, like, as soon as I retired, my oldest was 9, super into sports, and I had kind of catered that, right, as I jumped right in and became the president of the Youth Basketball Association in Wayzata, where we lived. You know, 400, 500 girls in that program, great people, great families, and I just kind of went into the community, gave me purpose. And then the crew came with the vodka company, and I was like, hey, this is going to be cool because it's not going to be full-time.
Right.
It's going to be as much as I want it to be. And I get, like, again, purpose with my life to get up and get the kids out of the house and go do something. And then be competitive. Like, it's a super competitive market. I mean, so you have to really fight for what you get. And it was nice to be the underdog again. I think that was kind of the feeling of, we're the underdog. We're going to find a way. And, you know, small town kid with a farm background, like, you just outwork people. That's just what my dad and mom do. And
true.
That's got us a long way.
Yeah, Sauce can relate.
You know, right?
I heard that, man.
Yeah.
I heard that.
So what else, though, for the next 50 years? I mean, obviously you have the competition right now in the alcohol industry, but what other competitions could you see yourself getting into? Your former teammate, Jared Allen's curling, right? Because he wants to try that. Like, what else could you do? I honestly would love to be a high school coach. Not football, but basketball. I have all daughters, so I would love to go that route. I coach youth basketball now. I love the preparation. I love the film study. I love to see the kids improve. But I could never see myself get back into football, really, in any form or fashion. You feel like you'd be a better coach with your own daughters or not your daughters?
I guess you have to ask them that. I'm not really sure, but I think it would be fun because it would keep me in the sport. I love basketball. I loved basketball growing up, and that was a sport I thought I was going to play until I realized it was not good enough.
But why not football?
I think it's because I'm so focused on wanting to be around my girls that I just have never thought about, hey, I'm going to go spend 4 hours of my day coaching other people's kids when I have my kids at home.
So it's not about you're sick of football.
No,
Oh, okay. All right.
I love football, but I would say before that, like I was just an athlete, right? It was track and baseball and basketball and football, and it just became that football was the best opportunity for me to actually go make money doing something that I loved. So that's where I, kind of hyper focused on that and went to college for it.
Have you been asked to coach football at any level?
At the high school level, yeah. I mean, but I've never been like offered a job at college or even in the pros, like to come back. And I got a bunch of friends that are now in the NFL coaching and doing things like Stefanski out in Cleveland. Like I was super tight with him this whole career here. And so yeah, we'll see where it goes. But right now, just raising kids.
Quick question. This actually comes from the chat, Cardboard Charlie.
Yep.
Youth basketball, parents complain to the coaches all the time.
Yeah.
Playing time, this decision,
Yep.
that decision. Do you get that, or do people not complain to you?
No,
Because you're Chad Greenway?
I get it. I get it 100%. But I do. I think it's tempered, and I'm a pretty direct guy. Like we have a policy set in place at our association, like pretty much every association does, and we just listen to the policy. And if it's the coach's fault, I send an email to that coach and say, hey, listen, this is the minimum playing time for this level of basketball. Like we're trying to get everybody better, whatever the situation is. But there's situations that come up where people are nasty, especially when it comes to their kids. And sometimes parents need that dose of reality too, to be like, you think, Lucy's really good, but Lucy's unfortunately here instead. And they need to hear that from somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's not me being a jerk to that 7th grade girl, right? That's just trying to be like, hey, I know you're super pissed at me right now with this email, but like, let's frame this up differently. Like, let's look where she's at in the scope of things. She's having a great time with her team. She's doing this, she's doing that. Like, let's reframe it. But I do get those emails all the time. It's actually, my wife said you should just do those, almost like have a job and you like, hey, I'm out of office for like a week. Just do like that one shot reply, like, I'll get back to you in a week, like, calm down. Something along those lines of like,
take 5.
Yeah, take 5, exactly.
At this point in your life, what is something that keeps you awake at night?
Raising kids right now.
Yeah.
I mean, quite honestly, in this world and environment that we have, I think these last, couple of years have been just, you've seen just how people treat each other, right? In general, I think raising kids would be the thing that I worry about the most. And I see it as not to get too big, it's all about education, all about giving kids the best opportunity. And not only for my kids, but then I see kids that don't get that opportunity. And I'm just like, my name got thrown around in the governor race for 2 years from now, a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, I'm not in the point to do that. But like, my first thing I would do would be education. Because if you can't educate the kids, right, get them back into school, whatever the situation is, like, give them the best chance, then you have a chance to create your freedom, create a business, to do whatever, right? Create an initials game, whatever that thing is that you want to create.
Initialsgame.com.
And so I would say that's what worries me the most is raising kids. I want 4 kids. A lot of us have gone through that, right? Raising kids, like you have one at the house.
Yeah, one left in the house and she's almost gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, can you get them out on their own and propped up and started in their own life and be driven and motivated? Like that's what I worry about.
You know what's crazy? I don't know if you guys have dealt with this or not, but like when I was growing up in a smaller town in Chisago Lakes, we barely knew anybody outside of our school, right? The only people we knew were like maybe the 4 or 5 best athletes in the state.
Cousins.
So we would just know them, but we didn't know like the 10 coolest kids even at Forest Lake High School, right? It was really, you were in your own little bubble. And now, like with social media, like my 15-year-old is getting trash talked by girls at schools and I'm like, how the fuck does she know
that
who
even
you
happen?
are? But some boy at Wyzetta that likes Bailey is now catching shit from a girl from another school that likes that boy. So now this girl finds Bailey on social media. It's like, what is happening? It's like, so they all find each other so much faster. And think about, like, speaking of raising kids in this environment, think if you are a kid that got picked on in your school. What if you're getting shit on by 7 schools or something?
Yeah.
Now you're getting hit from all these different angles going, God, kids are the worst.
Yeah.
They just are the worst.
Social media is the biggest thing. So, I mean, our oldest is 13, and she's not getting any social media till at least 16. Like, that's just like a minimum. But even then, you have to, like, curate it and watch it and be careful because I've seen, like I talked about earlier, right? You've seen what the people behind the screens can do and be really mean. And I worry about it now with her. Like, she's able to play varsity sports as a 7th grader, and she has my last name, and people know she's going to get hammered for that wherever she goes. And I worry about that, right? Because it's pretty easy to become a target. But if I can isolate the kids for as long as it makes sense from social media, where they can't take advantage of it, at some point, we're certainly going to do that.
I had a non-kid question
Yeah,
because I don't
sorry.
have kids. But When you were playing football, what's the worst injury that either happened to you or you saw?
Oh, E.J. Henderson, broken femur, Arizona. It was the most horrible thing I've seen. Jamarcus Sanford was coming from the safety position. E.J. was running, trying to catch a running back kind of on an angle, and Jamarca, who's like, Andrew Sendejo, always leaving his feet and like, spiraling out of control. Like, we love him, but until that happens, and E.J.'s leg planted, and Jamarca hit him right in the femur, just snapped it in half. Yeah. And literally, like the whole stadium, which out in Arizona is always half Vikings fans at least. The air just like silent, like a silence that you can't make up. Right? It's just like, oh my, because I was running during the play, and I didn't see it happen live. And all of a sudden, you look up and they go to replay it, and they shut down the replay. It's bad, like when they go to commercial or whatever on TV, and then just hearing his agony, and then he's out, and then he doesn't fly back with us, and the surgery, and just it. And he was an all-pro, he was Pro Bowl that next year, which is unbelievable.
Unreal. Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, I had an ACL and some other stuff, but that nothing compared to a snap femur is like the grossest thing.
So let's go back to when you were little again for a second, if you don't mind. So you grew up on a farm.
Yep.
You brothers and sisters? I'm sorry.
Two older sisters. I'm the youngest. Yep.
How much younger are you?
6 years and 3 years younger.
Okay. Yeah. So how much time did you spend by yourself?
Well,
wandering around
on the farm,
land. Yeah.
It was always just us. Like there was no like riding bike to a friend's house. Sure. It was us. Like we're loading pigs, or we're fixing fence, or we're doing hay. Like it's us, our family. So we were super tight, obviously, as a family group. And then the nice part is you can drive at 14 in South Dakota legally, still can, which is pretty sweet.
Pretty cool.
You drive to 8th grade, right, which is a little bizarre. But
wow.
But that gave us some freedom. But like the farm was our life. The farm was our lifeblood of our family. It was all hands on deck. My parents went to the same high school. Got married at 18. I mean, it was the whole classic family farm life, and it was tremendous. Because for me, like, it wasn't about, like, I can ride my bike to my buddy's house. It was like, hey, I'm going to go ride the four-wheeler out in the back 40 and do whatever I want and shoot guns and just do whatever with nobody telling me what to do. Right, and that was the best.
That's kind of the point I was asking right there, because as a kid who grew up in a similar circumstance, I couldn't have ridden my bike to the nearest neighbor.
No,
but I do have great memories of going out into the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
And the silence and the sound of the wind and the trees.
Yeah.
And I still think of that all the time.
When I go home now. So my mother still farms, and she's on the same farm I was raised in. My family, a lot of my family's still back there. Almost all my family's still back there. And when we go back, like I will go out at night. And like you hear the silence, and then you hear like coyotes call. Like we're out in the middle, in the sticks, right, middle of nowhere. It is tremendous, and like you can't. Like my kids go back there, and they love it.
Yeah,
they love the freedom, especially when mom and dad are being jerks, right? When they're there with grandma, and they can do whatever they want.
Sure.
Like they're out, riding this or doing that, and jumping on the hay bales and just having fun with their cousins. Like that is just the best, and that's the draw for me is like to move back. To have the kids grow up in that environment, because it was just such a great place to grow up.
And it's so dark at night.
Oh, it's the stars.
Right?
It's tremendous.
So you're outside, you're shooting guns, you're riding four-wheelers, you're doing work.
Yeah.
My guess is you were not moved by the loss of Dustin Diamond this week, because I don't think you watched a lot of Saved by the Bell.
We did watch that, but we didn't watch a lot of TV in general. I mean, quite honestly, that did suck though, because I think it left a hole in everybody's heart to a point though, right? With Dustin Diamond's screech. I mean, come on, everybody loved him.
Yeah, but let's go back to you didn't watch a lot of TV?
Nope.
So what did you do?
We worked. I mean, quite honestly, like the mentality of like, so like in the mentality of like, think about like my dad's mentality, right? Is if the sun's up, you're working. So like in the summer, like you couldn't hide. There's no school.
Right.
So like sun's up, he's up. Chad, screaming up the stairs, get down, you do this, whatever, and then it means he work until 9 o'clock. Come in, eat supper. Parents watch the news, you go to bed. Right. I kicked the football to myself a lot.
Ooh,
shot a lot of hoops.
That's depressing.
Here's tell me if this sounds familiar. Here's one of my days. Let's see how close you and I were.
Okay.
A lot of times I'd wake up, and if the sun was already up, if the waves, if it was like Whitecaps on Chisago Lake, I'd say, well, fuck, we can't wakeboard today.
Yeah.
So then I'd call my friends, and we'd play Madden for like 10 hours and hope that the waves calmed down.
I did have an N64.
Sweet.
That was awesome.
So when AJ said Goldeneye on the show, you had a visceral reaction.
Yep, that was high school.
Goldeneye was a game changer.
That was high school. I had a little more freedom. Got a little TV about this size in my room.
Yep.
Got a little more freedom. So,
Chad has to go. Zach gets the last question.
Okay. This really isn't a question.
Wait, who does?
It's more of a thank you.
You mean the bone collector?
When I was in middle school, in our lunchroom, there was a big poster on the wall for milk, and it said "Got Milk," and Chad Greenway was there with a little white mustache on him,
And it was right
Don't
next
say
to our
it, Zach.
table.
Don't say it.
Okay.
First, two questions. One, first of all, thank you for keeping me company.
You bet.
And two,
Your only friend.
what was that made out of? Was it actual
We
milk?
can't get into the details on that.
Okay.
No, it was actual milk.
Oh, it was actual
It was
milk, okay.
actual milk mixed with some other. No, it was milk. Yeah, it was. But that's funny you bring that up because that was a deal I did forever ago, and I will still get pictures of that still up in schools.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's been like 12 years ago.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they
You
have
know
no
who it's
clue.
really nuts for? This guy right here.
Yeah.
Now, for real, we had a discussion about it earlier, and he's like, I'm sitting here, and that's Chad Greenway right there. There was a poster of him in my lunchroom. So, all right, go talk to PA. It's your turn.
Will do, man. Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Thanks for having
buddy.
me.
See you later, dude. Appreciate you. See you later.
That'd be dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, what time you going to the bar?
About 5 minutes.
I'm shocked you
brings
knew
the
your
bar
children's
with
names.
Bye, Chad.
All right.
Yeah. That's a good dude right there. Now let's
Yeah.
talk bad about him. He's
Yeah,
got
let's
to get
rip the
ready to
shit
go.
out of him.
No, that's you know what? All honesty, that is the most down to earth athlete I have ever met.
Right.
Regular guy, always has been nice, even at the height of his stardom. Just the best, man. I'm happy to work with him. Good
Well, and
dude.
he mentioned too, like the way his life kind of came to form.
Yeah.
Small town.
Yeah.
One offer. It wasn't like he was being catered.
Yeah.
Didn't have a bunch of like coaches come visit and go visit a bunch of schools and get wined and dined.
Sure.
Got one offer. Had to work his way onto the team. Didn't start right away. Met his wife early. Got married early. Had a kid early.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like this lavish lifestyle that we see sometimes from pro athletes that get a lot of money, go have a lot of fun, and then ultimately will wind down and settle down and get their other life going. His other life was going from
Crazy.
the age of 10
Yeah.
as he was a grounded 10-year-old.
Yeah, I think you were their age. When he retired, I mean, it was
Right.
it was a lot. It was like right after his father passed away, and you could
Right.
just tell it. I mean, it wasn't even that he couldn't play. It just took him out of it. He just
And you can tell
He had
too,
no-
like
yeah.
the impact that a guy like that has on his teammates
Yeah.
too, by the
Yeah.
way that situation went and how many teammates
Yeah.
were there.
Yeah, a ton,
And
yeah.
it was. I mean, that's
He said something that made me think of how much time I waste watching poker. But like when I'm watching individuals play poker and get close to winning millions of dollars, right, and then they get knocked out of a tournament, that's just their dream, right? But as a viewer, unless he's like a dick or something, he doesn't lose for me, right?
Yeah.
He just lost
Right.
for himself,
Right.
And as I've gotten older, I don't have any personal connection to sports in terms of the Vikings are wronging me.
Yeah,
But think
right.
of if you're Chad. Chad has basically said he had to deal with that.
Oh, sure.
That it was almost like he was personally failing for some random guy in Woodbury,
Yeah.
right? Like that guy thought Chad was ruining his life. It's like, no, this is my career and my dream. That doesn't mean the guy at home can't have an opinion on Chad, whether Chad's good or not at linebacker.
Sure.
But I can't relate at all. And even when I was younger, I never thought the Vikings are wronging me, are intentionally causing me pain, or if that guy's not playing well, it hurts me. It's like, who the fuck do you think you are? Where Chad's dream is not more important than your couch dream of the Vikings winning. I promise you, he cares more than you do.
Well, and think of what
about
it's like
this team winning.
now, because he primarily played before Twitter. He played before the giant boom of fantasy football. There's so much more of that now that there is this direct. We get it at the radio station.
Yeah.
There's a direct feedback on social media between fans and radio personalities, athletes, whatever it is. But then fantasy football. I mean, how many times do you ever see on fantasy football people complaining about a quarterback who didn't win them their championship or cost them the game or whatever? And that's literally fantasy.
Yeah. I don't know. Just people lose their minds. There's a lot of idiots out there. There's just too many
Hi.
people.
You're
Yeah.
an idiom. All right, what's an idiom?
Yeah, what
and
is
what's a
an idiom?
facsimile?
Well, facsimile is like it's a copy.
Carbon copy.
Oh, okay.
So an idiom is like its meaning is something that
And it was a
is
what was it again?
not-
What was
I
the
don't want
word?
to say the opposite, but it's almost like something like dead ringer
Dead ringer. That's right.
has nothing to do with like actual dead people.
Sure.
So I'm doing a really bad job of explaining it, but idiom is essentially the meaning of it is not what it sounds like it should be.
Right. It has been associated with something that is
Something
isn't
completely different to what
Okay.
the two words sound like
Gotcha.
they should be.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so dead ringer is not like. I think the when I was doing the research on that is like the false narrative is that you used to have a bell attached to caskets and say in case somebody was buried alive, they
Bring
could
out your dead.
ring the bell and
No,
then,
this is if you're already buried alive.
right. If you were
Yeah,
buried alive,
yeah.
then you would
Oh.
you would
Yeah.
be a dead ringer, right? Because you're ringing the bell saying I'm still alive.
Oh my gosh!
And they were saying that's not
That's
where
not
this is
true.
from. This is
Right.
from horse racing in the
yeah.
1800s.
And what's the horse racing bit? Yeah.
I think it was something I don't remember now because I did this one a couple
Sure.
weeks ago, but I think it was some kind of a cheating scandal, like if horses looked similar.
Gotcha.
But I don't remember exactly where it came from. But it was something like that.
That's a hard one today, man. I had plenty of DRs. I just didn't have the right ones.
Right.
That's
That
the
happens.
weirdest thing, man.
AJ dominated, but I thought everyone was Dennis Rodman. I'm like, that could be Dennis Rodman.
I tried. I'm sure you're avoiding it. Dominican Republic jumps up right away. Obviously.
Yeah, I thought,
Yeah, we've had DR before,
yeah,
but it's
for
been a
sure.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So the billboard is, I believe, it's
Oh, yeah.
complete. It's about to go up. I think they're going to put it up overnight, Sunday night into Monday morning.
Perfect.
So we'll break that down for you Monday morning. We have Jim O'Hare on the after party next Wednesday. That's confirmed. Even though he has to be up by 7 a.m., he's pissed about that.
Whoops.
But he lives in California. And again, I'm super excited to talk to Dr. Agus.
Agus, yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Awesome.
Next week about the vaccine and stuff like that. So lots to get to on the show next week.
Sweet. All right.
But I've done enough for the week. I'm ready.
Yeah,
to
let's
turn.
let's
Bye,
wrap
Steve.
it up.
We good.
It's Super Bowl
Everybody
weekend,
good.
man.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl weekend, and
And
frankly,
the
I gotta
weekend's
poop.
finally here.
I got to poop. I don't know
All
what to
right,
tell you.
cool.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Introducing Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, the only national USDA certified organic hard seltzer. We're not playing around. New Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer, as real as it tastes.